Do you ever get that feeling that you just want to be alone? That you want everybody that you know just to leave you alone? So that you can be with yourself, with your thoughts. No pressure upon you, no responsibilities, nobody coming up and telling you this has to be done or that has to be got or things like that. We live lives that are kind of hectic, I believe, most of us. And there are demands upon us. There's family demands. If you are a young parent, excuse me, if you are a parent of young children or a guardian, you know, there's so much going on, and especially with the concerns and the anxieties over the pandemic and the special arrangements and protocols that have to be followed. Or you've got a job, a stressful job, a hectic job where there's people asking and expecting things of you, whether those are people in authority over you, needing you to get deadlines done, or whether that is people who work for you and you're concerned that they're coming to you with questions and wanting to know answers and stuff. An awful lot of pressures, an awful lot of impingements upon our pleasure, upon our ease. And that's a lot. That's a big thing in our world right now. And so every now and then, if you're like me, and this is another one of those things I don't mind admitting, I really need to get away just to be on my own. And that's not to say, you see, here's the problem with that. I want to be able to do that without telling the people that I love that I don't love them, because that's not what it is. It is for me to be a good friend, a good partner, a good co-worker. I've got to get away from them to recharge myself, to fulfill myself, just to feel good, to be alone, to be in solitude by myself. This next chapter in Richard Foster's book, Spiritual Disciplines, The Path to the Spiritual Growth, Celebration of Discipline, the path to spiritual growth. This next chapter is about solitude. And I don't think we're really good at it. I think we all want to be good at it, because I begin to think that really most of us do really want to be left alone every now and then. But I also believe that along with that sense of wanting to be alone and on our own and in solitude, our problem with it is a sense of guilt. We get that guilt feeling, we get that inability to get over that sense that when I tell you I don't want to be with you right now, and it's not because I don't like you, we feel guilty about that. Because we're afraid that they're going to take that the wrong way. We're afraid that the people that we're avoiding, the people we're getting away from, we don't want. And to be honest, there are people we don't want to be around. I don't mind the fact that there are people we don't like. I don't mind the fact that there are people we're just not going to talk to. We just don't get along. That's going to happen. But we want to make sure that for those who we do love and those who we do want to have in our circle, they don't get that sense that we don't want to be with them. So we always have this guilt feeling when we express, I don't want to be with you now, or I want to be on my own now. We don't word it in ways like that, but we word it in ways, I'm going off on my own. I'm going to take some solitude time, some me time, and I'm asking you to leave me alone during that time, and how difficult it is to do that without those feelings of guilt. But I believe it is a spiritual discipline, i.e., something that is important for us in our spiritual development, that we exercise getting away from everyone. And not getting away in the sense that we're avoiding, we don't like, we're fed up, but getting away knowing that being on our own makes us better for a time of being with somebody else, being with the other people. Solitude. Be very careful that you don't interpret solitude to be the same thing as lonely, or as hermit, or as avoidance. Solitude, it's a discipline, which means it's something you practice. And it's something you get better at each time you do that. And it's something you do for a particular reason. And if it's a spiritual discipline, it's that particular reason is for a good reason. We know that we need to be in solitude to be good around people when we're not in solitude. And that is very much a Christian, a spiritual, a religious imperative. A writer that I have been, I've enjoyed a fair bit of his talk, his writings, even be well in my seminary days, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and I know I've referred to him a few times before, but I know I have to refer to him again every now and then because I know nobody listens to me when I quote famous preachers from the past. But Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German theologian in the early part of the last century. He left Germany. He escaped from Germany in the early parts of the rise of Nazism, but he went back at the height of it because he really felt that's where God was calling him. And indeed, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was then arrested and imprisoned and executed just a few months before the fall of the Nazi regime. But during his short life, so many great writings came out of it. One of his great books was Letters from Prison. Of course, who wouldn't know better what to write there than somebody who was imprisoned for his religious beliefs in a time of evil, like the Holocaust. But the other book, Life Together. Okay, perfect title, Life Together. It's all about being together. He gets into it. It's not just about being together with other people, but it's about being together with God. But one thing I love in this book, I can tell you the contents, the chapters. The first one is on community, of course, be together, be in community. Then the second chapter is the day with others, a day with others, the Sabbath, the worship, the fellowship, getting together. We're supposed to do that. That makes us good Christians. Right after the chapter on the day with others comes the day alone, where Dietrich Bonhoeffer recognizes the juxtaposition of these two chapters, how being on our own is something as important as being with others. Two great quotes within the first page of that chapter, The Day Alone. Let him who cannot be alone beware of community. And the next paragraph goes, let him who is not in community beware of being alone. You see the juxtaposition, the dovetailing of those two things in Dietrich's thought. And I want to read a few lines from the beginning of that chapter. Many people seek fellowship because they are afraid to be alone, because they cannot stand loneliness. They are driven to seek the company of other people. And maybe that's you, and that's me, or somebody who's like this. Just always has to be out there in the midst of things, in the thick of things, and having fun doing the parties. There are Christians, too, who cannot endure being alone, who have had some bad experiences with themselves, who hope they will gain some help in association with others. They are generally disappointed. Then they blame the fellowship for what is really their own fault. The Christian community is not a spiritual sanatorium. The person who comes into fellowship because he is running away from himself is misusing it for the sake of diversion, no matter how spiritual this diversion may appear. Dietrich Bonhoeffer makes it quite clear, the juxtaposition, as I've said, of being alone, being in solitude, and being with others, being in community and fellowship. I think it's important that we recognize that solitude is, perhaps alone is not the right word that I should be using here, because I realize when I do that, and I tell you I do need to take these times of solitude, I'm not alone. But I'm using those times as a spiritual discipline to be with God. And it is those times when there's not those pressures, when there's not those influences and interferences from other people and from traffic and things like that too, that I can be with God and pray with God and reflect on what I have done or what I'm going to do or what my hopes and aspirations are and where God is in all of those things. So let me avoid using the word I'm alone when I do this. I only mean by that I am there. And there are not other people, but there's God, and that makes it a spiritual discipline. Now, another thing that we're so good at in our disciplines is doing the things that Jesus told us to do, or doing the things that the Bible told us to do. We look at those 10 commandments, okay, maybe we're not so good at doing them, but we know we're supposed to be. We know we are to strive to be good to our neighbor. We are to strive to love our enemy. We are to strive to turn the other cheek, and we do that so poorly, but we know we're supposed to do that. Here's a curious thing. I can't think of any place in the Bible where we're told, go away from everybody and be in solitude. Now, lots of times in the Bible, people do that, and we've got those two readings that we had this morning, the issue of Elijah going off on his own, but nowhere did Elijah say, this is something you should do, go off and be on your own. And we have a myriad of examples of Jesus Christ going off on his own. But never does he say, this is what you should do. He says, go and make disciples. And he says, turn the other cheek. And he says things like that. And we say, okay, we'll do that because Jesus tells us to. Jesus never tells us to go off and be on our own. What does he do, though? Jesus just goes and does it. His leadership by example, and I've got a myriad of examples here. I had to write them out because I'm not good at remembering things. But if you read Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 and 2, Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. He's there on his own. He's with God, of course, but on his own. When he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. Luke chapter 6, now it came to pass in those days that he went out to the mountain to pray, and continued all night in prayer to God. And when it was day, he called his disciples to himself, and from them he chose 12, whom he also named apostles. Jesus took that time alone. And he never says, you go off and do this. But part of the result of him spending that time in solitude, he is able to come and find those who will be his disciples. When Jesus heard about John, he withdrew from there in a boat to a secluded place by himself. After he had sent the crowds away, he went up on the mountain by himself. However, the report went around concerning him all the more, and great multitudes came to gather to hear him and to be healed by him of their infirmities. So he himself often withdrew into the wilderness and prayed. And there are more examples of Jesus going off and being on his own. But he never tells us this is what we should do. Well, I'm telling you, and I think through Christ's example, he's telling us we should do that. It is important for us to find that time of solitude and that time of aloneness with God, separate from all the other hubbubs and all the other interactions and all the other pressures of society, to be on our own. And I know it's not easy. It should be the easiest thing, shouldn't it? Because it doesn't involve anybody else. It does involve other people. Because you've got family members who have expectations. You've got bosses or employees who have expectations. And how difficult it is for you to tell them, I'm going away from you just to be on my own for a bit. I can hardly imagine the young mother with the 1-year-old or the 2-year-old or whatever thinking, oh yeah, boy, the time alone that you want, if you're lucky you can get it by locking the bathroom door if the spouse is around to be able to look after the baby, but the child or whatever. It doesn't change, by the way. I know you end up with the same pressures of teenagers and needing to be constantly on guard of what's going on there, and the constant pressures in our workplaces. So I know it's not easy, but then a lot of things that God wants us to do are not easy. A lot of things that are essential in our spiritual growth are not easy. But I kind of think that's why they're called disciplines. They're something we discipline ourselves at. So I encourage you, find some small corner. I had a musical director at one of my churches who showed me just the little shrine that he had in the corner of his dining room. And the family knew that when he was in that little corner, they were supposed to leave him alone. I know of other people that have set aside a closet to be sort of like their sanctuary. Places, Creve Hills Community, a place that many of our Presbyterians go to, they've got little buildings around the site that are set aside just for people to be in solitude for a time of prayer, a time of reflection. It can be very simple, like a small little corner of your dining room. It can be very complicated, like a separate room set aside, or even the garage, a sanctuary or something like that. It can be something far away, like coming into the church building when it's open and finding solitude there. Or a walk in the woods and finding solitude there. I just encourage us all to find those times of solitude. Added to that, complementary to that, I encourage us all to recognize in our loved ones, in our partners, in our families, in our co-workers, they need that time too. And if they're taking time away and they're not talking to us, it might be that they're mad at us. It might be that they don't like us. But it might also be that they just need time away to recharge, to be in solitude, because that will make them better for when they are in community. Try and do this. It would be a blessing for you, and certainly a blessing for everybody around you as well. That's all I wanted to say about that, but I did want to enjoy the pleasant solitude out here in the forest.